Hi, everybody. Welcome to the North Cascades Bluegrass Festival, streaming with the pros. The North Cascades Bluegrass Festival is held over Labor Day weekend, and we have camping that is from the Tuesday before Labor Day to the Tuesday after, and lots of picking and grinning going on. Today, we're joined by Alissa Wolf of the Stillhouse Junkies. Hello, Alissa. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Why don't you take a moment just to introduce your band members?
Yeah, of course. We're Stillhouse Junkies, and over here is Cody Tinnen. He plays the bass, and this is Fred Kozak, guitar and mandolin.
Howdy.
Great. We're sure glad to have you. So let's get started right off the bat. And why don't you share with us how you've come into bluegrass, even though you play across several different genres?
Yeah, us individually or kind of each of our stories?
Individually is fine. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I'll start. I was a classically trained violinist as a kid, and then took a little break from the violin. And when I was in my mid-20s, came back to bluegrass music and folk music. And that was something that I was always influenced by as a kid. I got to go to a lot of bluegrass festivals when I was growing up in Colorado, and it was always something that was near and dear to my heart. And I think when I was coming back to music, it was all I wanted to play. So that's how it came into view for me.
And yeah, I got into bluegrass through my mom. She learned to play mandolin after my parents split up. She was kind of looking for new hobbies and got onto the mandolin thing and started going to some bluegrass festivals in New England, and took me along to a couple of them. I played guitar starting in 8th grade, but not bluegrass at all. And that was the first introduction for me, was going to Gray Fox Bluegrass Festival in Podunk and some of the other festivals in Connecticut and New York State. And that's kind of where I was exposed to the music. And, it's pretty addictive once you've got a taste of it. So I kept coming back to that through college and afterward. And here I am.
That's great.
Yeah, man. And kind of a similar story for me. I come from somewhat of a musical family, and my dad played music, and I have an uncle that plays, and my brother plays. So bluegrass was kind of around in my house when I was younger, and in high school I started playing bluegrass bass with some guys that were a little bit older than me. So it was cool to kind of learn from some folks that could pick, and we were doing that whole thing. So yeah, it's just kind of been something I've been doing off and on since then. Like I guess like 15 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of sounds like my next question is kind of answer between all three, but we'll just take another shot at it. So how did you three get started?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Durango, and when I moved back that same year, Cody and Fred moved here. And we all met basically through mutual friends and jam sessions by chance. And Fred can kind of talk about the origin of how the band came together.
Yeah, I mean, I was originally started this band with another guy, and it was just a weekly jam at a distillery in Durango, at this Durango Craft Spirits distillery. And then we kind of had a rotating cast of people coming through. Alissa sat in when we first started doing it, and then we had a couple different bass players, and Cody joined the crew, and we really had kind of a cool musical chemistry. And then we had a fourth member that ended up leaving the band after about a year, and then the trio that's been the format since then. And we're stoked with the way it has come together and the sound that we've gotten just as the three of us. So, but it came out of kind of a weekly, like a lot of bands, I think, out of a jam situation, and just kind of running whatever tunes any of us wanted to bring to the table. And then we started to get more into original stuff and develop our sound, and that kind of led to, taking it more seriously and getting out on the road.
It seems to be very typical of how bluegrass bands start, where they almost all of them have to say, well, we were doing a jam and we met each, and then it grows from there. But it seems like that's the genesis of everything of when people get started with bands and how they get formed, etc.
Yeah.
So Alissa, how long have you been playing fiddle?
I started when I was 8. And then when I was about 17, 18, I took a nice healthy break from music and did some other things. And then I came back to it in my mid-20s. So I guess if you add up the years, almost 20 years.
So who are your biggest influences?
Oh boy. There's so many. Stefan Grappelli.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the first non-classical violinists I started listening to.
Oh, wow.
Current folks that I really admire and I've gotten some mentorship from is Becky Bowler, Deanie Richardson, Ross Holmes, Jason Carter. Yeah, I've been listening to these players really, really closely now for a while, and they've had a huge effect on me.
Have you ever played with Stephen Burrell he was with Doyle Lawson for a while. He's a fiddle player. Have you ever heard him or played with him?
No, I'm not as familiar, no.
There are quite a few young men who were part of a jam here local, and these guys are really good, number one. And they grew up, and then they went on to Chris Luquette, went to Frank Sullivan and Dirty Kitchen, and
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, we know Chris.
yeah, and Nick Dumas was with Special Consensus. Now he's on his own. Yeah. And Stephen Burrell was with Doyle Lawson and Quicksilver. Those three guys were playing together all the time. I mean, and I watched them grow up at the Maltby Jam. So it's kind of really been fascinating watching their careers take off. So it's been pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll give him a closer listen. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys have released several singles. Can we look forward to an actual album in the future?
Just about a week after we'll be at the festival, actually, September 9th, we're releasing. This will be our fourth album, I guess, and our first album on a label. So yeah, those three singles are off the Small Towns record, and that full album will drop September 9th. We're doing a release party in Nashville on September 10th. So
there won't be any of those at the festival, or there will be?
We will not have any to sell yet, but we will be doing pre-orders through the website, and we'll be playing the heck out of all the music on the record for people to hear. So
great.
But we'll have some other stuff available as well.
Good.
Last record,
Good.
2020.
So I'm not too familiar with your band's schooling, but I do understand that Alissa took a Berkeley summer program, and I'm very, very curious of what that was like. So you could give our listeners some of the inside scoop about Berkeley, because you hear about Berkeley and classical jazz and bluegrass and folks like Sierra Hull and folks like this. So tell us what yours was like, and maybe a little bit of inside scoop about what Berkeley's like.
Yeah, well, my experience was a little bit different. Mostly students who go to that summer Berkeley intensive program, which is 1 week in July, are usually 16, 17-year-old students who are looking to go to Berkeley, and they're wanting to kind of get a taste of the instructors and get a taste of the school. When I went, I was actually in my mid-20s, and the reason I went was because I was trying to transition from a classical violinist into the fiddle folk world. And I had come across the program and saw these instructors and thought, well, can't hurt. And I saw, when I showed up, I was one of probably 3 adults and then lots of teenagers. So my experience would be a little bit different from maybe someone who went as a 16, 17-year-old, but it was really phenomenal, even though I was a little bit older than most of the students. The instructors are, of course, top notch. They throw you into a group orchestra where you get to I was in Daryl Langer's orchestra, where he just teaches you tunes by ear. The entire orchestra learns at the same time. And then you end up just performing these pieces as orchestras that you know sheet music, which was huge for me at the time to learn how to do that. Yeah. And you could sign up for like an hour with Bruce Molsky, an hour with Mimi Rapson. You could study jazz. You could learn bebop. There was a classical instructor. I mean, you could really stretch your arms in the week that you're there. And
was there any bluegrass?
Yeah, there was bluegrass. I don't think I signed up for the bluegrass specific. My ensemble was bluegrass. They do put you in sort of a small ensemble, and I got to rip a few bluegrass tunes in that. Of course, at the time, I was still figuring out how to play bluegrass, but yeah, I learned a lot. It was intense, but really special. And I would encourage students and adults to go to that if they can.
You guys were in Bellingham earlier this year. I think, wasn't that the Underground? Is that what it's called? Or or
I was at a Shakedown Street.
Shakedown. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And we were listening to you guys. And after listening to your band, I'm a jazz musician myself. I play sax. And I was really enjoying your music because I could hear the influences of jazz in there. And there's a couple times I just wish I'd brought my horn so I could sit in with you guys.
Yeah.
But am I getting that right? That you do jazz
Sure,
and
yeah, I
swing?
think
And
we've all listened to jazz. I mean, Cody has a jazz background. I definitely have dabbled in it. I wouldn't consider myself a jazz player by any stretch, but
we have are you familiar with who Dan Eubank?
Some jazz harmony and some more slightly less bluegrassy chord progressions and things like that in my writing.
Yeah. It's amazing how many people play bluegrass that also play jazz. Are you guys familiar with Dan Eubanks from Special Consensus?
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
He's a really good jazz bass player too, but he's a really good bass player on bluegrass as well. So I'm looking forward to hearing him.
Yeah, man.
So what do you guys like to play mostly? Do you play, say, between folk, jazz, bluegrass, classical? What's your favorite genre, or is it really a mix of everything?
We just play our own stuff, and it kind of falls into whatever category, I guess, people identify it with. But I don't think we have really tried too hard to write or play to a particular category or label. That's kind of one of the things that we're proud of, is that we're not easy to pin down as being to put in a particular musical drawer, and hopefully, surprise listeners, mostly pleasantly, with the kind of stuff that we do and some of the arrangements that we have put together. I mean, we're definitely not a traditional bluegrass band, but we have enormous respect and love for the genre, of bluegrass. And so have brought a lot of our own stuff to it. I think when you come at it from a place of just, you kind of develop a sound as a band, and you can write to that instead of writing to a perceived kind of sound that you want to have. You just write for what you've already have developed. So that's kind of what we do. I don't really know. We leave it up to listeners and fans, to kind of try to put their own words to it. But
yeah, it's interesting to watch because I go to a lot of festivals and hear a lot of bands, and it's interesting to see. There's some festivals that are really, really strong. Bluegrass is it. And then there's other festivals that have a really wide range, like Wintergrass in Bellevue, which is the largest outdoor festival. And then you have the different festivals in between, and they play all different kinds of music. And I really enjoy that spectrum as opposed to it's just one thing the whole time. So, but I do love bluegrass. I do love jazz. And Stefan Grappelli, my gosh, he's one of my favorite fiddle players. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, I think he kind of influences everyone, really. I don't know anyone he doesn't influence.
Him and David Grissman have some really cool stuff that goes off. They do some great stuff. Are all three of you employed in other jobs besides music, or this is just your full-time gig?
We do this full time, man. Yeah, since I guess late 2019, pretty much. We've all taught some lessons in town here, but none of us has had a regular job since then. So
cool.
For better or for worse, mostly for better.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah.
So Cody, I told you I was going to talk about this, but you spent some time as young man playing trombone, and a little bit of jazz. And by the way, trombone is one of my favorite jazz instruments. Actually, trombone, just period. Bill Pierce was one of my favorite guys. I don't know if you guys ever remembered him, but he's an older gentleman out of Chicago, and such a sweet tone. It was incredible. So, do you play your trombone anymore at all?
No, I haven't played a trombone in many, many, many years, over a decade for sure. But my dad, I think, plays from time to time still. He was in the Air Force Jazz Band and played trombone.
Oh, cool.
So that's kind of where I got into it. My brother played also. But then, like I said, I kind of started playing bluegrass in high school too. So I kind of was doing both. And then after, I knew I didn't want to go. I definitely knew I didn't want to go to college for trombone performance or a conservatory or anything like that. So that's kind of where I parted ways with music for a while. I obviously played in some bands, here and there. I was living in Austin, Texas for a long time, but But yeah, no, man, the trombone, I really did listen to a lot of jazz growing up. All the big band stuff was obviously really fun to listen to as a young person. I was pretty deep into the fusion stuff too from the 80s. I listened to a lot of Weather Report. I just really dug that band. Obviously, as a bass player, I was really into Jocko, so that was kind of my main reason for jamming that band. But it was a cool all that fusion stuff from that era is just really interesting to listen to also.
So what do you guys do in your off time when you're not being a performer or a worker? What do you do for fun when you have some spare time? I know it's probably if you're on the road, you don't have much spare time, but
yeah, we're all giggling because, we toured for 78 days. We came home for 1 day. We left for 3 days, came home for 4 days, and now we're about to leave for another 3 weeks. So we don't have a lot of off time, but when we do have off time, Fred's a big golfer. We mountain bike.
Fred's an excellent golfer, I would like to say.
Yes.
Well, Fred, you may be interested to know that I live on a golf course on the first tee.
Oh, yeah.
I knew we were coming up there for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, should we bring some clubs, man?
Yeah.
It's only 8 miles away from the festival, just FYI.
Alissa and Fred are both really into mountain biking. Alissa does some cross-country skiing in the winter. Fred does a lot of backcountry skiing in the winter.
Awesome.
And, and I like to play old-time music and hang out in town. And
Cody sits on his new porch and drinks
Yeah.
coffee and rips fiddle and banjo for the neighbors.
I do like to fly fish when we're in town too, although we've been gone. We missed all of summer, so
Yeah, we did.
no fishing this year.
If you ever get up to Montana and Libby, go to Dave's Fly Shop for about a 9-hour float down the Kootenai. It's an awesome experience.
We're about to be driving around some really big water, I think, in Idaho and up all around your neck of the woods, man.
Yeah, it's great fly fishing areas.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's get back to a little bit of music. What do you feel is the best song that you've ever written, and why?
Oh boy, how do we narrow it down?
Maybe it's not. I mean, I don't know. Like up to date, I guess. But
Well, I guess personally, I don't know. I think I definitely have a few that I'm proud of. There's one on this upcoming record that's a pretty long, like kind of through composed piece about the Animas River that flows through Durango here, and I'm definitely proud of that one and kind of making it all fit together. It's like a 7-minute song, and I wrote a trilogy about Ernest Shackleton that I'm proud of too, that we don't play a ton anymore, but that was kind of one of our signature things. It's just a little bit, again, like we try to do stuff that's not maybe the typical bluegrass themes, and try not to like exclusively do that. But yeah, those are the two that I personally identify with and that I like. I'm proud of those.
I mean, I would agree. Those are some of my favorites too.
yeah, man. I mean, we're all lucky that we're in a band that we all like enjoy the music in, because it's not always the case,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Cody wrote a song that's on the new record as well. It's called Moonrise Over Ridgeway, and it was a tune that we worked up really last minute for this album. And Cody had it written, but we had it worked at it as a band, as an ensemble, and we kind of worked it up last minute and put a lot of effort and time into it. And it turned out to be one of like the hits of the album.
That's a banger.
And I'm really proud of Cody for that one.
Yeah, it's sweet.
It's a really cool song.
I like that one.
Cool. Looking forward to hearing it. I like one of the songs you do called Whiskey Prison.
Oh yeah.
It's one of my favorites. And I tell us about how that song and its lyrics came to be.
That one, we're a distillery band. Like the first gig we played was in a distillery, and there was whiskey around, during every show we played. And I don't think I really wrote it like trying to write it about that exactly, but I figured if we were a string band, we got to have some whiskey related material. And yeah, I was just picturing somebody who's kind of, their life has been destroyed by alcohol, and they're kind of feel like they're just locked in it. They can't get out of it. That feeling of addiction where you're kind of like, as much as you might want to be somewhere else, you can't you can't escape it. And it's not the most upbeat subject matter, but yeah, that was just kind of one. I don't really write from topics. I write from like a riff usually or something, and I just kind of spew some nonsense by myself late at night until something comes out that it seems like it wants to be part of the song, and then I have a kind of direction, and from there I write it. But I didn't really start out like, oh, I'll write a song about this. It just kind of developed, and I had that riff at the intro, and was kind of trying to come up with something that felt authentic, but also maybe a little bit, in the bluegrass world. And having songs about whiskey doesn't exactly set you apart, but hopefully having a different angle and maybe some different. I think I have some lines in there that I definitely like, and just the idea that alcohol can be that kind of can have that effect on the life of a person, and that these are the kinds of things that define families and individuals, and sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse, but it's kind of a universal thing. I think people can relate to it one way or another.
So Cody, you guys travel quite a bit, it sounds like.
Yeah.
I thought after hearing that your favorite pastime would be sleep. So
It's one of our favorite pastimes.
Yes.
So Cody, can you share with us, without mentioning any names, what's the worst experience you've had on the road? And then Alissa, I would like you to tell me what the best experiences have, but let's go Cody's first.
Yeah, I mean, flying in airplanes is pretty miserable.
Oh, really?
But specifically trip-wise, yeah, like we were in a plane, or we had a flight last week from Baltimore to Denver, and we unfortunately had to connect in Atlanta. And that, what turned out to be like a pretty routine flight ended up being, we were awake for like 36 hours and had to play a show, and it was like a pretty brutal day. And then we've had some rough travel days. Those are definitely like the worst, because those days are not, they don't include anything like it's just no fun. None of the fun of our job is included in like a plane travel day, because we're just traveling in an airport. We don't really get to play music or play a show or whatever. So yeah, that's probably the worst of recent history anyway.
Yeah.
Alissa, what's your most favorite experience on the road?
Oh man, can I say two?
Okay.
One was, actually that's a great one.
That's a good one, yeah.
So last time we were in Seattle playing a show, we had a day off, and we went out in a boat on the Puget Sound and saw orcas. We saw some whales, and it was just a really beautiful thing to be visiting a new city that not all of us had been to, and just feeling like really lucky to be touring musicians and to get to experience magical things like whales coming out of the water.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably one of our most memorable experiences. And I would say the other was IBMA last year. We were nominated for the IBMA Momentum Band of the Year, and we were just so psyched to make the top 5. And when they announced that we won, just that feeling of like all the hard work that we had put in, especially during that year of COVID, of trying to keep our momentum going and having that recognized that is a moment I will never forget as a band.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
We can relate. Daniel and I can relate to that experience, except to the last part. I'm not sure if you're aware or not, but we started out as the Hovender Homestead Bluegrass Festival at Hovender Homestead Park, and Daniel and I, we wanted to make our festival really a great festival for people that they would love. And we didn't do everything right the very first year, but people said even the stuff that kind of went half wrong, they'd come back again. So it wasn't like real big. And in our third year, we were nominated for the best festival in the United States on the Momentum Award. And we made it to the top 5, and we were back at IBMA, but when they went to announce it, we didn't get it. But it's such a great feeling to be in the top 5 of a nation, to be working so hard for a festival. And we try to keep that going up. So I think when you get to your festival as a Momentum Award winner, we'd be really interested in see what you think about our festival.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely,
yeah, I mean,
man.
Yeah. So if you guys had a choice of collaborating with another band in the United States, who would it be? And if you can't think of a band, how about a couple of musicians that are not part of the Stillhouse Junkies?
Well,
It's a good question.
Thank you.
I
I
mean,
think,
Willie.
yeah, Willie Carlisle for sure is someone we've been even talking about trying to maybe get together and work on a song. He's a singer-songwriter out of and multi-instrumentalist and just incredible person out of Arkansas.
Yep.
Yeah, that we have gotten to know through some different shows and hung out a little bit at Focal Lines last year. So he would be just one of the coolest songwriters working today. Who would someone else like as far as like a band? I think we've got some buddies. Fireside Collective is a band that we know well and really love all of those guys, and it would be really fun to collaborate on something with them.
For sure.
Yeah, Never Come Down out of y'all's neck of the woods up in Portland. They're good friends of ours, and we always, we should collaborate with those guys more often. We've been on some festivals with them, and we could probably get some of those folks up during the next set we have at a festival with
For
them.
sure. Are you familiar with them, David?
Which band?
Never Come Down.
No.
Yeah, you gotta check those guys out.
Fireside Collective, yes, but I've not heard of Never Come Down.
Well, and there was a collaboration we should mention that happened on the new album.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the tunes we had Becky Buller
Okay.
on one of our tunes doing some twin fiddling. So she's the only collaboration guest on this first album through Dark Shadow Recording. We got some plans for the next one, but I would say that's like a collaboration that you're going to get to hear here in a couple weeks.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's time now for the Dirty Dozen Rapid Fire. And we promised our listeners that they would learn more about you that they probably didn't know. So since there's three of us, because I was only expecting Alissa, we're going to do this rapid fire. We'll go from Alissa to Fred to Cody in order every time we ask a question. All right. So try to keep it about 5 seconds if possible.
Deal.
So you guys ready?
Yeah.
Ready.
All right. Number one, what's your favorite hot and cold drinks?
Hot chocolate.
Green
That's
tea.
hot, cold.
Well, milk chocolate, like chocolate milk, hot chocolate.
Okay.
Yeah, green tea and probably beer for me. Some sort of beer.
Hot coffee and sparkling water.
Okay. Do you sell records as in actual vinyl?
We sure do.
Yes.
All right. What's the most famous person you've ever met?
Richard Gere.
Meryl Streep.
Drew Barrymore, dude.
Oh yeah, Drew Barrymore. I did meet
Drew Barrymore. Okay. If cost was not an issue and you could buy any Alissa fiddle for the guitar, Cody bass, what would it be?
I would probably buy one of Aubrey Haney's used fiddles.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with my guitar, man.
Anybody guitar. What about mandolin?
Well, I would maybe if I could get Wayne Henderson to build something for me, I would play that. But and mandolin, I would probably would buy a Lloyd Loar, something from the 20s, early 20s.
Yeah,
Cody?
I would try to find someone to build me a bass. I know of a few upright bass luthiers, builders in the country, but I would do some research and find a single, like Randy Hunt or somebody to just build me a bass. Yeah.
Okay. What is your favorite food?
Chocolate.
Probably ramen, like really good ramen, like legit ramen.
Okay.
Pizza.
Love
pizza.
Damn.
Do any of you cook? And if you do, what's your favorite thing to cook?
I don't cook a lot, but my favorite thing to cook is like a good veggie stir fry.
I thought you were going to say chocolate.
I've never made chocolate, but if I knew how.
Oh man, I am not a very good cook, but I do bake some bread. Well, yeah, I got into sourdough, like wild yeast sourdough, like in 2020, like most people seem to do. So I've been baking a lot, and I love some homemade bread.
Yeah, Fred is a good cook too. I would say, I do cook a lot, and one of my go-to meals is curry.
Oh, best curry ever! Just
curry, awesome.
best curry
Cody was a
ever.
professional chef for 10 years.
I was a professional for a while, so
Nice.
got some tricks up my
I
sleeve.
bet you do. Have any of you ever broken bones? If so, which ones?
I have broken my ring finger playing tennis.
Knock on wood, never broken a single bone.
The only bone I have ever broken was in my pinky when I was working in a professional kitchen. I cut my pinky with a knife and cut through the bone, so nearly severed my left pinky
Yep.
tip.
It's like cutting through baby carrot.
Oh,
Basically was. But it's all good. Yeah, no, it was all good. That was years ago.
That's cool. What's your
But
favorite key to
there
singing?
was an X-ray done, which is how I know I broke my pinky.
oof.
What's your favorite key to sing in?
Oh boy, A.
D.
Yeah, I was gonna say A, although D is a good one as well for my voice.
Yeah, A and G.
Well, all of our voices, which is good because we typically we have songs that are in a wide range of keys, but we tend to have chunks of tunes that are in certain keys, and they're all good keys for all of our voices.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll quickly get these other ones. Do you dream, and if so, do your dreams come true?
Oh man, I sure dream.
Every day is a dream.
Yes, every day is a dream.
We're living the dream, man.
Living the dream. Okay.
Yeah, I have some weird.
What's your
dreams
favorite
that
actor?
Never come true.
Actually, yeah, Fred, because we share hotel rooms and stuff. Fred will speak in other languages in his sleep.
Yeah.
He speaks Mandarin and French, and sometimes he dreams and will speak in those languages when he's asleep.
So, what's your favorite actor?
Favorite actor?
Oh boy. Emmy Rossum.
Or like Gary Oldman, maybe.
That's a really good answer, man. I don't know if I have an answer for that.
I can see you've been on the road a lot, Fred. If it's Gary Olson is your favorite actor, no.
Gary Oldman he's such a versatile character actor. You see him and don't even know that it's him until you see the credits half the time.
Yeah, I've got one. Sir Patrick Stewart. That's my.
There you go.
It's a good one.
What's your favorite movie?
Oh man, the original Star Wars trilogy probably is like forever gonna just be my classic.
Okay.
Being There, the Peter Sellers film, would probably be mine.
Peter Sellers, he's funny. Cody?
Yeah, I don't know really. I
Well,
haven't thought
Cody
about this
watches
for
a lot
I
of
watch
Star
a lot of
Trek.
Star Trek.
So-
That's kind of my favorite media that I like to consume the most of.
Okay. If you were not based out of your current location, is there a secondary place you might want to live?
That's a tough question. We love Durango. Oh my God, I'm
somewhere in
stumped.
Europe.
Yeah, maybe somewhere in Europe. We just had a real great time there. So.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. When I was looking for somewhere in the West to move from, I lived in Boston. My two finalists were Durango and Bellingham, and I was like, could have flipped a coin and moved to either.
Cool.
So probably Bellingham.
All right. So the last one is what's your favorite venue to play and why?
Oh wow. Currently, my most favorite venue is probably Gray Fox Bluegrass Festival.
Yeah.
Nothing's topped that yet.
Yeah, totally. It's a hard question. Everything is special for for totally different reasons. That's one of the great things, like seeing different festival cultures and seeing different like venues around the country that have their own history and their own stories, and they're all known for being cool places for different reasons. So to be a part of any of that is always really cool. So I think everywhere we play that has like a cool historical kind of place in the music industry is a place we really every time.
Yeah.
Sure.
Awesome. So guys, before I make sure I don't forget this, I just want to say thank you for, taking the time to get together just to have a short time with our fans and your fans, and much appreciated. So before we close, if you had only one message to provide to your base, what would that be?
To our fan base?
To the people listening today.
Well, we just really appreciate everyone who's been there along our side to support us through everything since the beginning of our our time together. We have a lot of really fun things in the works, and just couldn't say thank you enough for all the support. And we love bringing music to people. It's what we love to do. And thank you all for being there for us for that.
Well, and I think, thanks to the folks who are supporting this festival and keeping events like this happening and making money for everybody and keeping them sustainable. Like it takes a lot of people coming out, buying tickets and buying merch and buying food. And like, we just want to encourage people to keep doing that as much as they can, because these are the kinds of things that when they go away and they don't always come back. So, we learned that in 2020, and we're lucky to have a lot of great festivals and venues that are still operating, and let's try to keep it that way.
Well, thank you. I'm going to just take a second to just talk a little bit about our festival. It's this Labor Day weekend, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and we have camping from Tuesday to Tuesday. So that's Tuesday before Labor Day and Tuesday till after. Stillhouse Junkies will be joining us. We've got 3 days of music, and on Saturday night is our pro jam. That's a time where pros get together and jam with other pros. We will be listening, not jamming. And I'm excited to see that, because there's lots of folks I've talked with that going to and from that. So we'll set it up, and then at that point it's go where you want to go with another pro, right? And get to jam with other pros. So we're looking really forward to that. That's after the last set on Saturday. We have an open mic that's on Thursday night, and we put the open mic folks up on the main stage with professional sound and everything. And we have, I think, 5 positions from 6 to 9. So if you are interested in doing an open mic at the festival and you're going to be attending, please just go on our website under Join Us and fill out the application for the open mic. It's first come, first serve. So with that, I will leave you with our website. It's NCBF. That's an acronym for North Cascades Bluegrass Festival .fun, not .com or .org. It's .fun. So I'll leave you with that. We have more interviews coming up this week. You can catch us on Facebook, and they're on live on YouTube as well. So thank you, everybody. Stillhouse Junkies, thank you again, and wish you the best. And looking forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thanks
David.
so much, David.
Adios.
See ya.
Bye-bye.